And good morning. We're ready to start a three-part story. It's going to take us most of the week to do this story. It's called Hamlet, Augusta Jones, and Me. And I've read this story before in the past with my kids, and it's a great story. I remember looking at the title of it and some of the pictures thinking, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But I remember reading it and thinking, man, that was a really good story. All right, so before we get started, we're going to go ahead and we're going to find some of these words in the section we're going to be reading today. She did not like the layout of the room, so I moved things around again. Layout. That would be how things are arranged, where things are sitting or where things are put. Without a word of complaint, the boy meekly obeyed his mother. What do you think meekly means? Being meek or doing something in a meek way or being meekly means that you put your own thoughts and cares aside and you quietly obey or you quietly serve or something to that effect. So it's a good thing to be meek. Meekness is a wonderful trait to have if you have it. Not everybody is meek. It's kind of like being humble. After seeing the huge box Mom wrapped, my prospects for getting a bike seemed great. What do you think prospects means? Chances. Prospects would be like chances. So somebody saw Mom wrap a huge box, so they thought their chances of getting a bike would be, that seems pretty good now. So those are some of the words that we're going to run across in this. All right, so I want to ask you a couple of questions. Look at some pictures. So, have you ever been to a play? Have you ever been a part of a play? I have. I've been to a play and I've been part of a play. I bet you've had something to do with a play, whether you were in it or maybe you watched it. Maybe even something at church or something to that effect. So what kinds of things would you need to put on a play? What kinds of things would you need? Well, your actors and actresses would need costumes, like these kids here have. They have costumes on. Props, like this fence and these trees back here. You'd need props. You'd need a stage, and you would need actors and actresses and things such as that. What type of preparations would you need to take before putting on a play? Practice. Memorizing lines, making the props, making the costumes, or finding them some which way. Here's a picture of a play. They've got their actors and actresses with all their costumes on. They got their props back here. Here's another one. So, how would you choose the actors for a play? Think you would have an audition and see who did the best, maybe? Do you think it takes a lot of work to put on a good play? Well, in this story that we're going to read today, we're going to see how much work and responsibility that it takes to put on a play. So let's look at page 121 in your reader book. It's the beginning of Hamlet, Augusta Jones, and Me. Like we've done in the past, I'm going to read, but you must follow along with me, okay? If ever you're not following along, then it'll have to be to where you'll have to read the story yourself, okay? But I'm going to read it, and you follow along. Now, as you're following along, I want you to listen for these things. What is the Mimosa Street Drama Club? How did the club get started? And who is the me in the title? Hamlet, Augusta Jones, and Me. And how does this person feel about the drama club? Okay? All right, so those are just some things to think of. All right, so the title of this first part of the story is Mimosa Street Drama Club. So let's start reading. Since Augusta Jones moved into the house next door to mine, Mimosa Street has changed. I had never met anyone like her, and I don't think Mimosa Street will ever be the same again. Right off the bat, I thought that girl was really strange, It's not that I don't know about girls. I have two sisters. It's just that Augusta is different. When she gets out a box of paper dolls, it's not to play with them, but to try out costumes for those plays of hers. She hadn't been here for very long before she had every girl on Mimosa Street acting the part of the princess, or that one, or worse yet, some animal or other. When she first started this play business, she tried to get us boys interested too, but we were too smart to get caught. After all, who wants to be a giant rabbit when we could be playing kickball in my backyard instead? At least that's what we were doing before one of my sisters volunteered our garage for a playhouse. Then the Mimosa Street Drama Club started meeting at our place every day. Nothing but trouble, I predicted. And sure enough, one day when Barry Horton tried for a home run, a princess and something that looked like a frog dashed across the yard from our house to the garage. We lost the game 5-0. Then Augusta came out, apologizing all over the place. The boys were pretty sore until she started talking about swords and fighting battles. It wasn't long before the whole kickball team was over in the garage signing up for parts. Fighting. I thought she probably meant setting out to kill a giant rabbit or something, but who would she get to be the rabbit? Well, I couldn't play kickball alone. I thought that maybe if I signed up too, I could talk some sense into those guys, but I knew one thing. If Augusta thought she was going to get me into a rabbit suit, she would have to think again. When I reached the door of the garage, Augusta gave me a sticky smile. For a moment, I thought she had been waiting for me. Not likely, since Augusta and I didn't get along too well. And running my kickball game didn't help any. "Hello, Thomas," Augusta said. Now, that's not any way to smooth things over. Thomas. Everybody knows my name's Tom. Ahem, I said, clearing my throat. How are things going? Just fine, she replied, pulling me aside. Look, I whistled in spite of myself. So this was what they had been doing all week. The garage hadn't been really dirty. Dad didn't use it for storage, but still it was cleaner than I had ever seen it. Just inside the doors was the open space where the car usually parked. Beyond that was the platform that had been brushed clean and made into a stage. Sheets hung from the rafters. They were pulled back at either side and tied to make curtains for the stage. Neat, isn't it? Augusta beamed. And take a look at that layout. The paying customers come in the front doors and sit in the open area. The actors are on the stage. They won't even have to enter from the audience. That side door opens into the stage. We can do our entrances and exits there. Paying customers, I said, a little dazed. Well, sure, why not? Augusta replied cheerfully, but I wasn't listening. My attention had been caught on a flash of steel. Jonathan Lee was chasing a girl across the stage, waving a sword over his head. That's real, I croaked. Are you crazy? Augusta gave Jonathan a cold look. That's enough, she called, or you're out. I watched in amazement as Jonathan meekly returned the sword to a big trunk near the side door. The prospects of getting the boys back to the game seemed smaller and smaller. All right, that's all then for today. So let me ask you a few questions just to make sure you're understanding everything. All right, so what is, well, first of all, who started this drama club? Augusta Jones. Now, who is the me? Who's telling the story? Tom. Does Tom have a good reason for not liking the club? I think he thinks it might be a little girly. Do you think that's a good reason? Maybe. What does Tom think would be trouble? Having them meet at the house. Yeah. How does Tom's prediction come true? They messed up the game, didn't they? Why do you think Augusta apologizes to the boys and tells them about swords and fighting? She's trying to get them in the play, isn't she? Why does all this talk about fighting persuade the boys to be in Augusta's play? kind of what boys like, isn't it? So, see, that's what they think it's going to be. Let's look on page 122. We're going to find the part, it's going to be the paragraph, where Tom tells Augusta, in which Tom tells how Augusta persuades the boys to be in the play. So let's look at, okay, it's on the left-hand side of page 122 at the bottom. It starts, then Augusta, and then it finishes at the top on the right-hand side. I want you to read that paragraph out loud. All right, do you think talking sense into the guys is the only reason that Tom signs up? Because he says, I think I'll just sign up. I can't play kickball by myself, so I'm just going to sign up and try to talk some sense into those guys. Do you think that's really why he signed up? Why would be another reason be? Maybe he's interested in it, especially since she was talking about fighting and that kind of stuff. What does the author mean? This is on page 123. What does the author mean by saying that Augusta gave me a sticky smile? What's a sticky smile? Maybe kind of a smile like she didn't really want to smile, but she was making herself like that, like kind of, like kind of a sticky smile. Do you think Augusta knows that Tom doesn't like to be called Thomas? Because she says, hello, Thomas. Well, so she probably knows that. So why did she call him that? Just to get on his nerves, because she probably likes to get on his nerves. What really impresses Tom about Augusta's handling of his friends? His friends come in and just start doing what she says. She's putting them where she wants them, and they're just doing it. And that kind of gives him a little bit of respect, I think, for Augusta. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at our work text pages. That's all we're going to read for today. We're going to read another part of it tomorrow. We have 2 pages to work on today, page 51 and 52. Now, page 52 is a glossary page. And there's a short little glossary entry at the top that has to do with plays. So you'll have to read each one of those entries at the top, and then you'll have to fill in the words and the answers down here on the bottom. And I'm going to grade page 52. Now, I'm not going to go over it with you. That's just all what you have to do. It's very simple. So I'm going to grade page 52. It's going to be worth 7 points. All right, so let's look then at page 51. Now, at the very top, it says, the way to find joy in our lives is to follow a simple formula. The ingredients must be in the correct order: Jesus, others, and you. Now, on the tell about it part, it says use complete sentences to answer these questions. Now, on number 1 and 2 at the top of page 51, you do not have to write these, okay? I'm going to tell you these, and you're just going to kind of say them out loud. Now, I understand I can't hear you, but you don't have to write the answers to these. So, number 1, what do you think Thomas will do about the play if he's putting Christ first and others next? What do you think Thomas is going to do about the play if he uses that formula at the top: Jesus, others, and then himself? If he uses that, then what do you think he's going to do? Did you give your answer out loud? Did you say something like he would probably take part in the play and do what Augusta wants him to do, just to be friendly and to put her feelings before his? Okay, let's look at number 2. What happened to David in Word of Honor when he finally put Christ first in his life? Now remember, this is the story that we read last week about the little boy that was supposed to have read John, the book of John, and he didn't, and he lied about it. So what happened to him after he finally put Christ first, and it wasn't the other way around? He put Christ first. What happened? He confessed his sin, and he got right with God. That's the only way you can be right with God, is if you put him first and then others after that and yourself last. That's the only way that you can ever have true joy. Now, let's look at the read about it. You see where the baseball's at? Okay, I want you to read that paragraph yourself, and then I want you to put right here what you think Eddie would decide to do if he were thinking of Jesus first. Okay, so I want you to do that part. I'm not going to grade it, but I do want to see it. But I am going to grade page 51, and it'll be worth 7 points, okay? Let me know if you need any help on anything. That's all for today.